Hi guys, Priti Patel, who's hoping to be the next leader of the Conservative Party, spoke to Christopher Chopper from GB News about a whole range of issues. But the one that seems to be the core to the Tories' immigration was of course brought up. The former Home Secretary was asked if she would apologise for record immigration levels, and she refused to. Then she tried to spin a points-based system as some sort of solution that she had put in place. Have a listen to this.
So you're a low tax, low immigration Tory. Taxes are at record high. We know maybe that's because of the COVID pandemic and also the energy shock.
A lot of it is.
And the energy shock in Ukraine, of course. You were Home Secretary when immigration hit record levels. Do you want to apologise for that?
Well, I think we have to look at context, first of all. So, and remember this, 2019 election campaign, I was absolutely crystal clear. We as a party stood on a platform, points-based system. Points-based system. And you know why that was? A lot of people didn't want to write about it or report on it at the time. Points-based system means the government of the day has levers to control immigration numbers. That is a fact.
And it chose not to.
Actually, you cannot say that. That is not accurate, if I may say so. Primarily because actually a Conservative government did choose to act on that, and it did in Rishi Sunak's government. My time as Home Secretary, I was bringing in the whole system reforms, and that was on legal migration, a points-based system. And we can come on to illegal, which is separate.
Yes.
The two should never be conflated.
No, I don't.
But on legal migration, let's not forget, in 2020 onwards, we've just spoken about the pandemic. We had the pandemic. So what did the government choose to do? And I think this is the right thing to do. We absolutely made sure we gave the NHS the support that it needed through health and social care visas. Are we going to say that was the wrong thing to do? I mean, knock on doors and ask your listeners, your viewers, would they say we should not have had more doctors and nurses? I think they would not.
That's
say
what
that
Labour say. I mean, I think.
Well, are they saying that? Are Labour really saying that? Because I think that's incredibly disingenuous and insincere. Think about the implications that would have had for NHS waiting lists and people accessing treatment. And then on top of that, I mean, people want to have this debate. I'm very happy to have the debate and discussion. Humanitarian crises. Russia, Ukraine, would we say no to the Ukrainian citizens that have made their homes here?
And no to the Hong Kongers. I mean,
National
the
Security
BNO,
Act in Hong Kong.
British nationals in Hong Kong, of course.
The National Security Act in Hong Kong was a turning point for all of us. We have historic obligations to the people of Hong Kong.
Net migration has gone up 2 million over 4 years. You don't want to say that was too much? I mean, many would say it is too much.
But you can put context to it. And I think it's too lazy, if I may say so. I think it's really quite sloppy just to go around, the merry-go-round on this, in the sense that students, we shut down. Don't forget, during the pandemic, our borders were effectively closed. There was no travel. What about all those international students? They came in after the pandemic. Are we saying that they should not have come into the country? So
brought their families there, didn't they, on your watch?
So the system, no.
No?
You have to, again, which students brought their families? Look at the categories and the criteria. I do think, put the facts and the context around this.
Oh my goodness, this charlatan. This is the one who celebrated the ending of freedom of movement. She smiled about it at the Tory party conference. We've ended freedom of movement, to cheers. And now she's trying to say, look, what we're doing is, of course, we need doctors and nurses. Of course, we're going to bring in doctors and nurses. We've introduced a visa system so we can get doctors and nurses. It's not just doctors and nurses that are necessary. It's care workers. It's people in hospitality. It's other parts of the NHS as well. Businesses, the length and breadth of the United Kingdom need workers, and your party put blocks in place. Now, you're talking about a points-based system, but that's for the highest paid. Most of the jobs that are vacant at the moment are at the lowest level. And you celebrated the ending of freedom of movement. And your response is, what we did was, well, of course, we're going to have a visa system. Yes, but not everyone can afford the visa system. The care sector is having to pay huge amounts of money to get workers in. How is that a solution? See, the Tories, once again, are trying to tap dance around the issue of immigration. They're trying to say, on the one hand, well, of course we need doctors, nurses. We're going to bring in doctors and nurses, but we're going to bring down immigration because immigration is bad. Immigration needs to be reduced. And they play this game with the public, saying immigration is bad But don't worry, we're going to have enough doctors and nurses. Of course, that's going to be exempt. Even Reform UK are doing it as well. They're making exceptions because they know that when it comes to the NHS, the public support the idea of higher immigration. But in general, they've been convinced by right-wing politicians and the media that immigration needs to come down. This is the problem. The problem is that the public have been convinced of one thing, but they know it's wrong when they look at it in detail. And the politicians are trying to weave this sort of weird narrative that, yes, of course we want to bring down immigration, but not in the NHS or not in social care, not in core areas like universities. But at the same time, they're putting in measures to make it more difficult for the NHS to get the staff it needs, the care sector to get the staff it needs, and universities. Priti Patel is part of the problem. She's not part of the solution. She's not interested in actually being honest about these things. And unfortunately, journalists will, especially on the right, like GB News, will not ask her difficult questions, will not ask her, why is immigration a problem? Because if she responds by saying, well, because of housing and because of the NHS, then who is responsible for that? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.